Morning. Welcome to today's morning power of call. We're doing this one a little bit early. We're doing this a little bit before our normal time, which is going to be good because I've got some extra things I need to take care of today that require me to leave a little bit earlier from home base. So I want to make sure we got this morning power up call in before I did that. That way you guys could get this information because I think the questions, the frameworks that I'm going to share today are going to be extremely useful for you and just blasting through the challenges you face and blasting through the OODA loop. This is going to help you get a feeling for that winner's mindset anytime you need to. So those of you who are sitting there trying to figure out how to make their outreach work or figuring out what they need to do to improve their writing or whatever you're at right now, and you're in a difficult situation, you're trying to figure out how to squeeze out time to make this happen, I'm going to give you some questions that are going to instantly, almost nearly instantly reveal the path forward. Kind of like a couple of days ago where I talked to you guys about detaching and kind of looking at your problem from a third party perspective. This is another series of questions or frameworks that you can look at your situations with so that you can instantly see the right path forward. So before we do that, just quick announcements. If you guys haven't gone and checked out the replays that are inside the live call, the live recording replay, inside of general resources, there's a section that is the review recording replays. That's what it's called. And then we've just added two more this week from Thursday and Friday. So Thursday we did one on students copy. But if you haven't seen the one we just added from Friday, you definitely should go take a look at it because that one's really cool. We broke down the headline in the first section of that John Carlton ad, classic old direct response copy ad. Massive insight. Anyone who's on the call knows we kind of uncovered some deeper persuasion principles, some deeper understanding of what you're actually trying to do with your copy. The guys that watched that video walked away with a lot of applicable stuff. So go and watch this. A little shorter than our normal review calls. We're going to break up that ad over a couple of different weeks just because there's so much going on that ad. I don't want to gloss over. I want to make sure I get every single little nugget of wisdom for you guys because it is some valuable stuff. Now, let's talk about the actual content I have for you guys today. So when you are faced with an obstacle, and you are caught up in the moment, it can be difficult to know what to do, right? It's a pretty common human experience, right? Now, you can just kind of stick in there and kind of like bang your head against the wall, and eventually you'll figure it out, right? But most of the time, there's a few questions you can ask yourself that will instantly reveal the path forward. These are things that kind of cut away the excuses, cut away the problems that you're facing, and for some reason, because of how strange the brain is, how you can ask yourself questions to get answers, because of that strange nature of the brain. This will help you find the answer that you kind of already knew or always had available to you. You just need to ask the right question. So when you're faced with, let's real quick, let's name. So you guys in the chat right now, tell me a challenge or an obstacle you're facing or something you want to achieve within copywriting or really anything in life that is difficult that you're having a hard time achieving. Something that's become difficult for you guys to do. Maybe it's I'm having a hard time doing 20 outreaches a day, or maybe it's I'm trying to figure out how to write a compelling HSO email. So tell me, like inside the chat, I'll wait a few seconds and kind of just sit here and set some prep up. But I want some real life examples. I don't want to just make up stuff. I want to talk about something that's relevant to you. I want to make this as valuable to you as possible. So there's a few of you guys in the chat. I know we're doing this a little bit early, so the time, like the actual number of people attending, is probably a little bit lower. So those of you who are in the chat, what's an example of an obstacle or a challenge you're trying to deal with right now, or some outcome you're trying to get inside of your life? Wait a few minutes. All right, here we go. Someone wants to write a compelling sales page. Another person said, I'm struggling to make a very intriguing cold outreach, coming up with good deals for ideas for free values. Okay, so there's some people talking about dealing with free value. Yeah, cool. So let's talk about becoming better. That's a nice general one that applies for just about everybody. So let's talk about let's play with outreach because you guys are dealing with outreach. So let's say that you were facing this problem. You're trying to come up with a better way to improve your outreach. You wanted something that was more engaging, more valuable. You wanted something that matches up with the guidance I give in some of the other power calls where I talk about the secret recipe for free value or the way we help business or the mind reader stuff. Okay, yeah, we got lots of options going here. I'm gonna run with the outreach one. Let's say you're facing that. Now, let's say, right, you ask yourself the following question, or you put yourself in the following scenario. Let's imagine, oh, look, I think my 2-year-old's joined the call. Hey, Clark, how's it going? You want to go see Mom? No. Okay, we're going to do this call with my 2-year-old. So let's move the sword out of the way. That's a scabbard, dude. That's to keep you from away from swords. So let's get going with the call, guys. I'll be right back. 1 second. I'll give you guys a question in like a minute. Back. All right, guys. So I was just about to reveal the big question when the 2-year-old came in, and I decided not to play with the sword in here with him. So let's get back into it. So you're struggling with outreach. You're trying to figure out what to do. You're having a hard time knowing what the right answer is, how to actually create a winning outreach. I'm here to tell you that your brain already knows. You actually know how to win already. And let me show you how to unlock that from your own brain. So what you do is you ask yourself, if someone had a gun to my head, if someone literally was standing behind me on my desk and I could feel like this cold circle of the barrel against the temple of my head, and I had to create a good outreach by the end of the day, or else I'd die. That this person with this gun to the head would kill me. What would I do? How would I spend my time? What would I try? How would I go about that? Now, it's a pretty serious question. It's a pretty serious scenario. The pressure of that sometimes might freak some people out, but I do this all the time. I ask myself this question all the time. Put myself in that scenario, and it usually can kind of show me the path forward. Maybe it's like, okay, well, maybe I would test out some different principles. Maybe I go review that video, see what I can catch from Andrew. I put this inside the Legion. Meanwhile, I'd force myself to come up with 50 different ideas for outreach. They're different. I pick the top one. Like, things are going to start coming to mind, and I'm running through the scenario in my mind as if someone had a gun to my head and asked me to come up with a brand new, unique, cool outreach. Maybe I'd say, okay, I'm going to take one psychological principle. I'm going to base it all around that. Maybe I'll base it around reciprocity. Maybe I'll base it around commitments. Maybe I'll base it around conversation. I'll pick something, and I'll test 2 or 3 things out, see which ones work. Okay, boom, go. And then just like a madman would finish working on the computer. There's a couple variations of this question. You can say, you can change it from a gun to your head to a gun to the head of someone you love, right? So it's one thing if you would die if you can't do copyright, if you can't like achieve your goal. But it's another thing if, like, for example, someone put a gun to the head of my kid, I would move heaven and earth to make something happen, right? That's one example. Bad idea for anyone thinking about it. Not a good idea for anyone to think about. But it's an example, right? That's a question that adds so much instant motivation, so much instant necessity to get it done, so much urgency to the situation that it cuts away all of the bull crap, right? It completely cuts it away, right? And it reveals a solution. Usually it's not an easy solution, but it's a solution that's almost always guaranteed to give you the best results possible. So that's one. You can also flip it. You can make it positive. You can say someone's sitting there with $100 million, and they will give you that $100 million if you're able to achieve it within 10 hours. Usually you'll find a way. You'll know exactly what you need to do to move forward. You might be there might be a half a second where you're like, what do I do? What do I do? And then immediately you'll say, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And that's my best bet to make this happen. So I'm going to go for it. It's a really powerful question when you're trying to OODA loop your way through these situations, which is why if you approach it from that manner, it's going to make you more successful. It's why being competitive helps you as well, right? Because it increases the stakes. And when the stakes are higher, most of the time your brain will help you rise to the occasion, right? When a tiger jumps out to attack you, your brain will dump adrenaline and it will find the resources to make you run as fast as you've ever run before or fight as hard as you've ever fought before. And it's the same way when you put yourself in these situations. It's a simple question. It doesn't sound that crazy when you think about it. But I'm telling you, if you start to regularly ask yourself this question around the goals and the objectives you're trying to achieve, it's going to make it way easier. For example, let's say you're one of these other guys just saying, how do I do 20 free values in a day? How do I do it? Gun to the head. Maybe you dump a lot of time. Maybe you start trying to find ways to use AI to make it happen a little bit better. Maybe there's some other things that would come to mind. Maybe there's other things that would reveal themselves to you if you ask this question. I don't know you and your identical situation, but you can make it done. So, guys, this is a simple question. if I had a gun to my head, how would I get this done? But I'm telling you, just it's going to make a massive improvement in your life if you can start using this. If you have asked yourself this question, which I hope every single one of you have on this call, and you've got a new idea or at least a path forward now for an obstacle that you're facing, put a 1 in the chat. I just want to see who was paying attention, who was able to apply this. And if there's any questions or people aren't able to get a lot out of this, I want to dive into this and give you guys some more examples on how to use it. So if you were able to ask yourself this question and you have something of a new idea now in the 2 or 3 minutes we've talked about this, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, boom, 1 in the chat. I'm telling you guys, so these questions, it's funny, your brain already knows the path forward, right? This is one of the questions. Okay, yeah, we're starting to see the ones come in. I'm going to give you guys another question just because it's fun and I like you guys, and I want to give you another one. And it's kind of like this. So instead of asking yourself gun to the head question, gun to my family head question, which is terrifying and maybe not the best thing for your adrenal gland to think about, here's another question that will often give you guys a correct answer, right? You can ask yourself, what would a multi-millionaire entrepreneur do right now? I ask myself, what would a billionaire do right now? Right? You can ask yourself this question. You can ask yourself what a specific person would do right now. And this was made famous by Christians for a long time who had the WWJD, what would Jesus do bracelet to remind themselves, to ask themselves what Jesus would do in any given situation. You can do this with copywriting. It doesn't have to be Jesus. You can pick someone like what would Gary Halpert do? What would Andrew Bass do? What would Andrew Tate do? What would Genghis Khan do? You can ask yourself these questions in many situations, and it's funny, right? What would a billionaire do? And you'd be surprised at how often your brain is able to just give you the answer, give you the thing you know you should do, right? It's pretty powerful. It doesn't, again, these questions, if I were just to give them to you, you'd be like, those are stupid sounding questions, nothing special about those questions. But if you actually start testing them out, it should blow your mind by how powerful these are. Yeah, lots of ones in the chat now. Awesome. I'm telling you guys, yeah, if you do this, and I run this all the time, and after a while, you get to the point where you don't have to ask yourself that question. You just know what you need to do because you're now that guy, right? And that's how it should be for all of you guys. But this is sort of a training wheel, a way to get your brain to give you the information it already has. And that's really the cool thing I'm trying to help you guys understand here, is that inside of your brain, you already know the path forward. It's buried in there, right? You don't have to, you're not helpless, you're not hopeless. The answer most of the time, 99% of the time, is inside your own brain, right? You just have to ask the right question to open it up. And these questions, what would I do if I had a gun to my head? What would I do if someone I loved had a gun to their head? What would I do if I got $100 million this happened? What would so-and-so do? What would a billionaire do in this exact copywriting situation? If you ask yourself these 5 questions, you can unlock the question, you can unlock the answer so much faster, and you can OODA loop so much faster. I do this on the regular. It helps me blow through my problems, blow through my challenges way faster than I did in the past. Because in the past, I sit around and worry about them and think about them and make them really big, like we talked about in one of the other power calls. But now I quickly and efficiently cut through all the BS. I find the path forward and I attack that viciously, right? With tenacity, because that's how I know I can improve my life. That's how I want all of you guys to start approaching this, right? I'm always happy to answer questions for you guys. As you go into the Ask Professor Andrew channel, I'll answer every single question that you ask there. At least once every 24 hours, I sit down, boom, and I answer all the questions that are in there. Sometimes I ask a question back to help you understand the situation or help me understand the situation. But I will address and answer every single question inside of there. But if you guys start asking yourself this question, you'll find the answer for yourself more times than not. And the questions you ask me will be those higher value questions, the questions that no matter how much digging around you do in your own brain, you can't find the answer to. Because there are some questions like that. There's some things outside of your own perspective you can't find the answer to. But most of the challenges you face, most of them, I mean like 90% of the problems you're currently facing, you have the answer inside of your own brain. If you use these 5 questions that I talked about on the call, you'll be able to reveal them and pull them out of your own brain and start using them and move forward with action. So, guys, I'm glad this got you guys some good, helpful information. Got you some things that were. It looks like we were able to help at least a good dozen or so of you on the call to make some breakthroughs toward things that you're trying to achieve. My friends, it was a good time to talk with you guys. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. I will talk with you guys again tomorrow on our next Power Up call, which will probably be at another weird time, but I will talk with you guys there. You guys take care. Have a good day. Use this to go make some money. What would you do if someone had a gun to your head? Figure it out. See you later, guys.